Shalom, shalom. It is May 21st, 2025. It is 1:03 p.m. Again, it is May 21st, 2025, 1:03 p.m. The title is Pick and Choose. Pick and choose. I was not planning on doing a live. I was actually in here working. If you all can see what I'm surrounded by right now, you will be amazed because I was literally in the middle of a project, and while I was in here working, I was listening to TikToks, and while I'm listening to TikToks, this one person said a scripture, and that scripture resonated with me, and instantly I got this notion to come on and to bring this word today. So I had to quickly get myself together because when I'm working, I don't look like I'm looking right now. You know, I'm normally in more comfortable clothing and everything, and so I quickly went and put on a little something. I ain't trying to say I got on the best, but try to look a little presentable. But like I was saying, if you could see what's around me, you would know I was deep into work. But either way, so look, we have this real bad issue, this real bad way about us of picking little parts of scripture and creating a full-on understanding surrounding that little piece of scripture. And it amazes me how much we can know pieces of a chapter and don't understand or know the full chapter, and we just lean into that one little verse or piece of it, and we allow that to resonate within us more so than the whole chapter. And it's like we keep accepting crumbs. We keep accepting crumbs and leaving the whole slice of bread untouched. And it's like we have got to get out of that, right? We have got to get out of that that way of being, of just accepting crumbs, the bits and pieces of something or of scripture, and leaving the whole loaf or the whole slice untouched. So a lot of us are very, very familiar with Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 and 6, which says, trust in Yahuwah with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. A lot of us know that. A lot of us know those two verses really well, and we will quote it. We will quote it in an instant, especially when something is going on that we may not understand, or someone is trying to understand and we don't have no explanation, and we will use that to justify giving them some type of support, right? But if we take the time and read this whole chapter, there's so much more to gain from this whole chapter than just that. It's so much to gain. And not only is it so much to gain more than just those two verses, but also look at how is it that we are told that the old, so-called Old Testament is done away with. We no longer have to abide by it. But yet and still, those same people who tell us that the Old Testament is done away with constantly use bits and pieces of it to justify whatever they want to push that day, whatever they want to preach that day, whatever it is that they want us to adhere to or to believe in. Why is it okay for them to take bits and pieces, picking and choosing which parts of the Old Testament they will speak about, teach about, or use in their sermons to cause us to get in alignment with the message? We got to stop picking and choosing and allow the whole word to be what it is. Look, I don't want to spend too much time with that, but I just had to set the stage. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 3, the whole thing. I'm not going to go into depths. I'm not breaking anything down. I will give some little insight here and there when I read certain things just to point out something to you all, but I'm not gonna go into depths. But this is needed because I don't think a lot of us have actually taken the time to read the whole chapter. And for those of us who have taken the time to read the whole chapter, I don't think we are taking the time to really take in what is being said, because in this one chapter there's so much that we can get out of it that will help us in our everyday lives to have a better understanding of how to govern ourselves in this world. It's so much that we left untouched, and we keep accepting the crumbs. So without any further ado, let's go ahead on and jump on in. Proverbs chapter 3, we're reading the whole thing, and it says, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments." That's the first thing. That was said. Do not forget my law. The Most High is instructing us not to forget his law. But then, like I said, we keep picking and choosing. He's telling us not to forget his law. But most pastors, most ministers, most leaders in the church will skip all of that and go right down to verse 5 and 6 and recite the trust in the Most High with all thine heart and lean not to thy own understanding. But how do we know how to lean not to our own understanding if we don't even know his laws? His laws is what's going to give us the understanding of him and how to govern ourselves. See, it's so much that we just leave untouched. Okay, so it says, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to you." So why would he then in the New Testament tell us, or for us to believe that his son is now saying that the laws are done away with, when he is telling us do not forget his laws? For the length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. His son and him are one. His son did not come to give us new laws. His son did not come to do away with the old laws. They're all the same. We got to understand this. We got to get this. "Let not mercy and truth forsake thee." Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. "Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. So shall thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of the Most High and man." Trust in Yahuwah with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. How do you acknowledge him? It goes all the way back to the first verse. "Forget not my law." That's how you acknowledge him. Forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. In order for you to know him, trust him, in order to please him, in order to have that relationship with him, you have to know his laws and you have to keep his laws. You have to. But again, we keep picking and choosing which parts of chapters or which parts of scripture we want to apply to our understanding, and we're only accepting crumbs, and we're leaving the loaf untouched. We're leaving the whole slice untouched. I hope I can get through this without being too preachy or too teachy. Ooh. Verse 7. "Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear Yahuwah and depart from evil." Don't think that you are so wise in your own understanding. The things that you have learned, the things that you have been taught, the traditions of man, the way that the world lives, don't be wise in your own eyes, but fear Yahuwah. You should be so afraid of him that you will want to reduce anything out of your life. You want to get rid of anything and everything out of your life that's not pleasing to him. And when I say fear him in both ways, meaning to respect him and to fear him, knowing that he holds all power in his hands. He has the ability to do things that nobody else has the ability to do. That is a reason to fear him. a healthy type of fear, a fear that causes you to have respect for someone. We all know what type of fear I'm talking about. It's like those of us who have been raised with old-fashioned values, old-fashioned parents who will slap the taste out of your mouth when you get beside yourself and you feel that you can disrespect them and or talk to them any kind of way. You fear your mother, you fear your father enough to not just talk to them any kind of way, not to approach them in any kind of way, not to act any kind of way in their presence. That is the type of fear we must have when it comes to him. The same level of, and I would say level, forgive me, not really, but a higher level of respect that you have for your parents, you also supposed to have for him, right? It shall be healthy, going to verse 8, it shall be healthy to thy navel and marrow to the bones. Honor Yahuwah with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thy increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. So that goes back to that tithing thing. That goes back to the tithing thing. When he's talking about first fruits, he's literally talking about the increase of your crops on a seasonal basis, or the increase of your herbs and your herds. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about money. This whole idea that we supposed to pay 10% of your income, all of this is not the Most High's way. All of what and how we live in today's time is not the Most High's way. So he was never asking for us to bring money into his houses. It was never money. Oh, I hope I can get through this without preaching or teaching. Y'all forgive me. It's just so much. It's so much. Verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening of the Most High, neither be weary of his correction. So don't despise when the Most High sends someone to speak about correction. Do not despise when the Most High sends someone to say something to you that goes against what you believe is right or what you've been doing. Don't despise that. Don't kick against that. Don't hate the person because the person is telling you something that differs from your belief. Because why? It says that we're gonna keep on. For whom Yahuwah loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. So how do you think he's gonna correct you? He uses people. He uses people to help guide you back to the right path. He uses people to show you something that you might not have seen before, or to give you some insight in an area that you might not have any understanding in. And sometimes we might think that we have an understanding of something, but somebody else might come along and say something that differs. And it's like, instead of instantly rejecting it, count yourself thankful. Be thankful that you are hearing something opposite from what you believe, because it very well could be true. That is your opportunity to be corrected, to get your things in order, instead of you wanting to fight against it, kick against it, be mad about it. That's your opportunity. So don't despise that. Verse 12. I already read that, but I'm going to read it again. For whom Yahuwah loveth, he corrected, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom. Happy is the man, the person that findeth wisdom, and the man or person that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. Money ain't got nothing on understanding and wisdom. All of the resources that you can have in the world, all the wealth you have in the world, has nothing against having wisdom and understanding. She, talking about wisdom, is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Wisdom is so valuable that nothing in this world can be compared to her. Because not everybody's going to be able to obtain wisdom. And not everybody is going to be able to obtain wisdom. So when everybody cannot have something, the value of it is higher than the value of something that everybody can actually obtain. Everybody can go out there and get a paycheck. There's no value on money. Many of us can go out there and get diamonds. There's really no value on the diamonds. But there's not going to be a lot of us who can obtain true wisdom and true understanding. It's priceless. It is priceless. And it goes on to say, verse 16, length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. So when it speaks about length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor, that goes back up to verse 2, where it says, for length of days and long life and peace shall be added to thee. So we have to make the connection. We have to make the connection, right? So he tells us, my son, forget not my law, but let thy heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Why would they add these things to your life? Because you would have obtained wisdom if you keep his laws, if you keep his commandments, if you know them and you keep them. And so going back down to verse 16, it says length of days is in her right hand. So knowing the Most High's laws and keeping them will add to you long life, because that is wisdom. So not only will it give you long life and it will extend your days, but it will also give you riches and honor. It will also open up doors for you, because the Most High is guiding you in all of his ways. So see, we have to make these things connect. And it's all in this one chapter. It's all in this one chapter. But if we keep picking and choosing which parts of scripture or which parts of chapters or which part of the word we use, we are just accepting the breadcrumbs and leaving the whole loaf untouched. I want the whole thing. I don't know about y'all, but I want the whole thing. Why? Because it's available to us. Who wants less than when you can have more? Who wants the whole when who wants crumbs when you can have the whole? It makes no sense. Verse 17, her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. This is what wisdom do for you. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. Do you want to have peace? Do you want to be in peace? I know I do. I love my peace. I won't trade it for nothing. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. Get this, wisdom is accounted to be a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. And how do you gain her? Through his laws, through his commandments, through understanding of who he is and abiding by his laws. That's how you gain wisdom. That's how you gain understanding. That's how your life is extended. That's how you gain honor. That's how you gain riches. And we're not talking about worldly riches, even though that would be a part of it. But we're talking about something that the world can't even comprehend type riches. We're talking about overall. We're not talking about we're going to be poor and rich in spirit. We're talking about true riches, as well as riches that no one can take away from you. Where am I at? Verse 17. Her ways are, did I read it already? I did, but I'm going to read it again. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. Yahuwah by wisdom had founded the earth. Listen now. Yahuwah himself by wisdom. He used her, which is wisdom, that had founded the earth, by understanding how he established the heavens. By his knowledge, the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thy eyes. Talking about the commandments, talking about the laws, talking about wisdom. My son, let not them depart from thy eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. What do he say? Keep sound wisdom and discretion. How do you keep sound wisdom? By knowing his laws. By not allowing other people to come in and to teach you something that is opposite of his actual word. When we say that we live according to his word, we got to be sincere about that. We have to be sincere when we say we live according to the word of the Most High. In order for you to really say that and mean it, that means you take the time to study his whole word. You don't pick and choose what part of his word is important. You don't pick and choose this section over that section. You don't eliminate part of his word and say that's obsolete. We no longer have to focus on that. So I'm just going to focus on this part right here. We no longer can do that. We no longer can sit up here and say, well, the Old Testament is done away with, but we're going to take this little section right here out and we're going to use that because it helps our message sound better, or it gives support to what we're trying to teach the people. We can't do that. We're picking and choosing, and we're picking breadcrumbs. We're selecting breadcrumbs, and we're leaving the whole loaf untouched. Okay, where am I at? By his knowledge, the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thy eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Why? Why do we need to keep sound wisdom and discretion? So shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. So that they can give you life unto your soul. So that when your soul is going to receive its eternal resting place, or its eternal body, that you will receive life and you won't be damned in the lake of fire. So we got to get this. We got to understand that in order for you to receive the promise that most of us who say that we are saved are seeking, you have got to understand his laws and keep them. That's the only way. That's the only way. It's not just having faith. It's not believing in JC. It's not going to church on Sundays. It's not paying your tithes. It's not doing none of that. It's not doing none of that. My son, let not them depart from thy eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, so they shall be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shall thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. Because if you don't know his laws, it's so easy for us to jump on the bandwagon with people who teach a word that sounds good. It's so easy for us to jump on the bandwagon of false teachings and under false prophets and these false pastors and ministers and people who claim to be so holy and or godly, and they're teaching everything and anything but the word of the Most High. It is our responsibility for our salvation. You can't hold your pastor accountable for what he teach. You're going to be held accountable for who you choose to listen to and follow. Now, will your pastor be held accountable for misteaching people and misleading people? Absolutely. But you're going to be held accountable for yourself, because you should be able to know what is right and what's wrong. You're supposed to be held accountable. You will be held accountable. You are going to be held accountable for the things you choose to do. You can't, well, I thought that I was doing the right thing. I thought. Well, you don't have to think when you know the word. When you take the time to know the word and you allow his word to teach us. I'm trying not to be too preachy or too teachy or I'm trying not. But hey, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Where was I at? So shall they be life unto thy soul and grace to thy neck. Then shall thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lay down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. Because it's coming. It's coming. But don't be afraid of it. For Yahuwah, and it's coming quick, and it's coming fast, and it's coming soon. And when I say soon, it's coming soon. Woo. For Yahuwah shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due. Let me read that again, because this whole idea that you're supposed to be good to everybody, that you're supposed to be a blessing to everybody, that you're supposed to forgive everybody every time they do something to you without them coming to you and asking for forgiveness and repenting from what they have done to you. This understanding that we're supposed to love everybody and we got things so out of whack. We got things so out of whack, and I know a lot of people say, well, ain't nothing wrong with loving everybody. Ain't nothing wrong with forgiving everybody. Ain't nothing wrong with doing good for everybody. Let's let the word speak. Let's let the word of the Most High teach us how to conduct ourselves in this world, right? Because a lot of us always say good people with good hearts always get used, mistreated, abused. It's because you're being good to the wrong people. You're being good to the wrong people. This understanding that we're supposed to be good to everybody is not true. That don't mean that you go out here and just be a butt to anybody. That's not what that is saying. It's not giving you the okay to be a butt neither. Let's let the word teach us. It says, withhold not good from them to whom it is due. Don't keep the good. Don't keep goodness. Don't keep being good and being a helper or a good resource from those to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thine hand to do it. So when you are able to do good to those who it is due, some people do not deserve to have good. So you don't just go out here and give people stuff for the sake of, I'm a good person and I'm going to do good by everybody, even if everybody ain't being good to me. You're being foolish. And the word tells us not to be foolish. He tells us not to be foolish. Because now you're setting yourself up to be used, abused, and mistreated. And you do not supposed to engage people who do not do right. You're supposed to remove yourself from people like that. You don't excuse them and or enable their bad behavior by you being good to them. Because people who do bad things, people who are takers and never givers, people who seek to use people, they will never stop. They will never stop. They don't have no limit to how much they will mistreat you. And you're constantly going to give into their whims and their desires because of the sake of you being good, and you believe you're honoring the Most High by being good to them. But they're not due good treatment. That don't mean that you treat them bad. It just means you remove yourself from them. You don't allow people to use you. You don't do that, no matter who the person is or the people are. Let me read that again. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due. It don't say withhold not good to everybody. It says withhold not good from them to whom it is due. So if it's telling us withhold not good from them to whom it is due, then that means there are some people out there that good is not due to. There are some people out there who good is not due to. And in order for you to know who these people are, you need to be in his word. You need to know his law. You need to be able to have discernment so that you will know what people to associate with and what people not. What people that you should apply the good rule or law or good acts and services to, and who not. He don't want you blessing people who are out here just living any kind of way. He don't want you to do that, because he's not going to bless you to bless evil. He's not going to give to you so that you can fund the things that he say this is not how you supposed to operate. He's not going to give you something that comes from him, a holy thing, for you to give to the unholy. He's not going to do that. I can go in another direction with that whole topic. I can, but I'm gonna try to keep it light and brief. I'm gonna try. Verse 28. Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Excuse me. So what is being said here? Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Don't sit up here and send someone who comes to you asking for something that you are able to do today, but you're going to tell them, come back tomorrow and I'll do it tomorrow. Why don't you just handle it today? Handle it now. So what you're doing is you're prolonging their help, or you're prolonging, their help. You're prolonging what they may need today for tomorrow. That is a form of oppression. There's a law against oppressing people. You don't supposed to withhold from someone something that they're in need of today for tomorrow, when you have the ability to give it to them today. Now, again, that goes back to knowing who you're supposed to do good for. So all of this stuff is entwined together. It's entwined together. I told y'all the laws that we call it, they are actual instructions on how to live in this world. They are actual instructions on how to conduct ourselves in this evil world. They are laws that's supposed to help us have a better life. They are to protect us. It's to keep us from allowing ourselves to be put in harmful situations and around harmful people. It keeps us from having these dysfunctional families and these one way relationships where you're constantly giving, or somebody else is constantly pouring into somebody else, and there's no reciprocity. It's no take and give. It's only give, or somebody's only taking. Where am I at? Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Devise not evil against thy neighbor. This is evil. Seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. You have some of these people out here who tell these horror stories of living next to a neighbor from hell. Like the neighbor who just don't like them living next to them. So therefore they instantly just start doing stuff to make their life uncomfortable and become a nuisance to them just because. Just because they don't like something that this person does, or just because they don't like the way their neighbor look, or just because their race is different, or some type of bias that their neighbor may have, or you might be that neighbor who don't like your neighbor for whatever reason, whatever prejudice you may have, whatever is in your brain, but your neighbor has never done anything to you personally to cause you to do anything to them. The Most High said don't do that. Don't devise evil against your neighbor, seeing that they dwell securely by you. They living next to you. They bought this house next to you, but you want to cause problems. Why? Why? Strive not with a man without cause. If he have done thee no harm. Self-explanatory is what I've been saying. Envy, this is another thing that I wanted to point out about this chapter. Another thing I wanted to point out about this chapter that we keep leaving untouched. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. This right here can go real deep. This can go real deep. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Remember, I did a video, I think it was back in December, and it was about how, looking back on the civil rights movement now in today's time, I realized how foolish we were. I realized how bad of an idea that was for us to try to integrate or to force the government to change the laws and the rules in the towns and the cities and the states and our communities, to change separation between the blacks and the whites and to bring us all together as one. And I said that was a bad move, because why are we fighting our enemies to sit next to our enemies? Why are we fighting our enemies to be able to eat in the establishments that our enemies own? Why are we fighting our enemies to be arm in arm with our enemies, just so that when we get in these places, they can continue to mistreat us, unalive us, and do things to us that is now out of our control, because now we have been put into their spaces. And I said that was crazy. That was crazy. This right here this is a prime example of what he told us not to do. He told us not to envy thou oppressor and choose none of his ways. But we did the opposite. We chose all of the ways of the oppressor, and we chose to use their laws and their way of handling things with protesting and going out marching and doing things that we have seen them do to gain access to what they have. But the Most High said don't do that. And let's make it very clear. We have been oppressed in this nation and around the world as a whole, as a group of people. They have always intentionally oppressed us. It has not been something that just happened. They intentionally put laws in place and set out different groups and organizations to keep our people at a certain level. I don't know if you all have seen, but I did a video, several of them, of a letter written from King Leopold II, who is the King of Belgium. And he wrote a letter to the who are these people, to who are these people? The people who, the missionaries who leave from his area, European area, going into the African nations to call themselves evangelizing the black people, supposedly bringing the understanding of JC, Christ, the Bible, all of that to a people who they say didn't know him. But in his letter, he disclosed that these people knew the Most High. They had their own. But he told his people how to keep the black people from understanding the value of the resources that they had in their ground, so that they would be more focused on religion more so than what they had, so that those people, the European people, can come and take the resources and become wealthy. They come up with plans and ways of keeping our people oppressed. And it has not been just the last couple of years, the last few years, the last decades. This has been going on for centuries, y'all. It has been going on for centuries. It's well documented. I mean, heck, only thing you got to do is look at our Constitution and look at the goddamn different things that they have in place law-wise in the federal government and state-wise, and you will see certain things that is targeting a certain group of people. It's targeting a certain group of people to keep us bound in shackles, whether invisible shackles or physical shackles, to keep us enslaved to a system that they designed to elevate theirs and to keep us down. And the word says, envy not thou oppressor. But we keep wanting what our oppressors have. We keep wanting what they show us as being wealthy and rich. They promote this life and this idea of what wealth looks like. And we do everything we possibly can to obtain it. But the Most High said, no, don't envy what they have. Why would he tell us not to envy what they have? Because what we have is better. What we have is better. But what we have done is we have rejected what we have. We rejected what we have to go seek after what they got. And now we got nothing. Now we have nothing. Have you ever heard of I love bringing examples to the table, boy, because it resonates with us more, I think. You know how people say a person can leave a good, a man or woman could leave a good spouse to go and be with trash. And then as soon as they do that, find out the trash really is trash. And then they got nobody. Now they're alone. That's what we have done. We left what true wealth is, what true riches is, seeking after what they got. And everything that they have is corruptible. Everything that they have is man-made. Everything that they have is something that was created by the hands of man. We left incorruptible wealth, riches, prestige, honor, royalty for corruptible material. I could go so deep with this. But I'm going to try not to. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. We keep choosing all of his ways. Even when it comes to our understanding of the Most High, we allow them to teach us who he is. How do you think of people who hate us? And I'm not talking about all of them. I'm talking about those who have the power to make laws and rules. And let's not get it twisted. Even some of them who don't have too much power. Even the regular everyday Joe working a 9 to 5. We have people who, because of their skin color and because of our skin color that differs from theirs, believe that they're better than us because of their skin color, and they're making these rules and regulations to hinder us. And here it is, we believe that these same people will honestly teach us the truth about the Most High, which is supposed to give all people freedom, which is supposed to give all people the kingdom of the Most High. Like, they don't want us to have natural good things now. What makes you think they want us to have spiritual good things later? What makes you think that? But we allow them to pour into us so much that we can't see the forest from the trees. At what point do we evaluate things from a different perspective, from a different set of lenses? At what point do we look at things and allow rational understanding to make sense? How often does an enemy turns friend? How often? How often does that happen? It never happens. Enemies never change. Enemies don't change, y'all. They don't change. They may adapt. And they might change their tactics, but their hearts towards you don't change. How they handle you might change, but their heart and how they view you and how they see you don't change. But we keep picking and choosing pieces of the scripture instead of accepting the whole thing. We keep accepting crumbs. We keep accepting crumbs and leaving the whole loaf untouched, leaving the whole slice untouched. Let the word tell us what it is. Let the word teach. Let the word instruct. Let the word govern what we say we believe, and stop allowing people to govern how we feel about things, or how we believe things, or how we accept things that really ain't the truth. 32. For the forward is abomination to Yahuwah, but his secret is with the righteous. Did you catch that? Let's read it again. For the forward is abomination to the Most High, but his secret is with the righteous. So his secret, what is a secret that he has that only the righteous have access to? What's the secret? What is the secret? What is the secret? Do you not know what the secret is? In order to know what the secret is, you got to know his laws. In order to know what the secret is, you have to not only know his laws, but live according to his laws. To know what his secret is, you have to know his laws, keep his laws, and obtain wisdom. And they will reveal to you the secrets of the Most High. Because it's only the righteous who will be able to know the secret. Everybody else is going to know what? A delusion, falsehood, lies. Let's do something. We're almost at the end. I think I could spare a little time. Let's look up the word forward and see what that means. Because I'm using the Blue Letter Bible online. So only thing I got to do is click it and go down. I'm waiting for it. I guess I got slow services. Today is raining. It's cloudy. So it happens. Okay, we're here. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to click on the word or the phrase, the forward. And it is coming from Strong's Dictionary. It is letter H3868. Let's see what it say. What's up, Nicole? How you doing, girl? Good to see you coming in. What's the day? Wednesday? What, you on your way to work? Okay, so what does this word forward means? It's still coming up, y'all. Have a little patience with me. Forward, depart, turn aside. To go wrong, go crooked. Devious, perverse. To be lost from view. To become devious. To turn aside, to depart. It means depart, perverseness. So basically, the word forward means a person who has turned aside or departed from the law. That's what we're talking about. So let's go back to it. Now I'm going back to the actual verse. And what does it say? Where was I at? For the forward is abomination to you, Yahuwah. Those who have turned aside from his law. Let's remember, at the beginning, because when you're reading the chapter, all of it has to go together, because it's talking about a specific thing. A specific thing. It's talking about a specific thing. The very first thing he was talking about, or that was mentioned, was remembering his law. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. Don't forget my law, but let your heart keep my commandments. Love my commandments so much so that you keep them. Love me that you keep my commandments. To love me is to keep my commandments. In order to keep my commandments, you need to know them, which is my laws, my statutes, and my ordinance. You need to know these things. So if you turn aside, and that's what we're talking about, going back down to, where was I at? Where was I at? Gotta find it again. Verse 32, for the forward is abomination to the Most High, but his secret is with the righteous. If you turn away from his laws, then it's an abomination. It is an abomination. Why is it an abomination? Because now you're seeking the wicked things. Now you are seeking things that are not pleasing to him. You have gone astray. You are lost. You have gone from the narrow path, and now you have gotten on this broad path that's going to lead to destruction. You are sinning because you are now not living according to his law. That's what sin is. Not keeping his law. You have become a transgressor. A transgressor is someone who has turned away from his law. But his secret is with the righteous. So those who are righteous understand things that those who are not righteous don't understand. They have a discernment and a knowledge that is not found in them, because they have been able to tap into the secret of the Most High. They have been able to obtain wisdom. They have been able to obtain understanding because they know his law, they apply his law, they live according to his word, his way. So they're not leaning to their own understanding. So in order for us to apply verse 5 and 6, we have to understand how not to lean to our own understanding. How do we do that? We don't lean to our understanding when we allow ourselves to learn his law and to live according to his law. And then we go on and it says, verse 33, but I'm going to read 32 again. For the forward is abomination to Yahuwah, but his secret is with the righteous. The curse of Yahuwah is in the house of the wicked. The curse of Yahuwah is in the house of the wicked, but he blessed the habitation of the just. So the curse of Yahuwah is in the house of the wicked. So if you're not living according to his law, then your house is cursed. Don't think it ain't. You're living under the curse. But he blessed the habitation of the just. Those who are living according to his law, he's blessing where they live. He's blessing their dwelling places. Understand that. Surely he scorneth the scorners, but he giveth grace unto the lowly. Get that. The lowly. Those who have understood that they are nothing in and of themselves. They have nothing in and of themselves. They have become humbled enough to know that they possess nothing. And any and everything that they do possess comes from him. They understand that I'm nothing. Like literally. I don't care if you got the highest degree that this world can offer. And you got the highest position in this world. I don't care if you got all the riches that man could want, that will go beyond 10 generations in your family. I don't care what possessions you have. If you're not humble, if you cannot be chastised, if you cannot be corrected, if you cannot understand that what you possess, you didn't get it by yourself. And just like you didn't get it by yourself, you can't keep it by yourself. If you cannot understand, if you do not know, if you do not recognize that there is a creator and he's in charge over it all, don't think that he won't correct you. Don't think that you're where you're supposed to be and that you made it because of yourself. He's going to give grace unto the lowly. So when he gives grace to the lowly, even their sins will be counted as nothing, because they understand how to obtain all of his favor. Not some, all of his favor. They understand how things operate according to his law, according to what's supposed to happen. They understand the prophets. They understand what's coming. Don't think that you could pardon yourself because you have faith. Don't think that it just takes having faith and acceptance. Don't think because you proclaim to be under a banner of whatever religion that you claim to have that you are something special. Don't ever elevate yourself on a platform that you don't deserve to be on. Don't do that. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the promotion of fools. It's very foolish. It's very foolish to promote yourself and to believe that you are equal to somebody else, regardless of who the somebody else is. It is very foolish to believe that you are equal to somebody else, that somebody else may not have something or possess something that you don't also possess. It's very foolish to sit up here and to compare yourself to someone else and to think yourself better, equal, or whatever. And it don't matter who the person is. It could be a person of present, past, or someone who ain't even been here yet. Somehow who's coming. Don't think yourself better. Because the Most High, as we all love to say, He knows my heart. He knows my heart. He sure do. He sure do. He knows your heart. And what is in your heart shows in your actions. It shows in your actions. It shows in your words. It shows in your decisions. It shows up in your life. The wise shall inherit glory. How do you become wise? By knowing His law, keeping His law, obtaining wisdom and understanding, unlocking the secret places of the Most High. That's how you inherit glory. You don't inherit glory by being saved. You don't get grace by being saved. Everything goes back to His word. Everything goes back to His law. Everything goes back to knowing His laws, keeping His laws, living according to His laws, obtaining wisdom, understanding, discernment, and then He unlocks secrets. He gives you understanding of secrets. Don't despise chastisement of the Most High, because He chastises those whom He loves. If you never come across a person who is saying something that varies or that not varies, that differs from what you hold to be true, you should be scared. You should be very scared. If you never come across a person who has ever tried to show you something different from what you believe to be the right way to be, you should be afraid. You should be afraid. If you never come across a person who challenges you to see things differently, you should be afraid. Very, very scared. It's the Most High chastising us. It's the Most High showing us. He's trying to correct us. But He's not going to keep trying to correct you if you reject it. So, we got to stop picking and choosing people. We can't allow people to tell us that trust in Yahuwah with all thy heart and lean not into thy own understanding, and in all thy ways acknowledge Him and He shall direct thy paths, without going back to verse 1 and telling you, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. Because that was the first premises. That's how you lean not unto your own understanding. You need to know His law, and you need to keep it. You need to love it. We got to stop picking and choosing people. We got to stop picking and choosing, and we got to understand that we have been picking and choosing the ways of the oppressor for too long. For too long. And we have to return back to the right path, which is Yahuwah's way, His word. And we got to understand that people have misused His word to bring about a doctrine of falsehood to keep us oppressed. Again, I read the letter of King Leopold II of Belgium, of how the missionaries were to manipulate the African people to get them to release the power that they still had with the Most High, the connection that they had with the Most High, so that they could infiltrate them and blind them, subjugate them, enslave them, unalive them, corrupt them, and take the resources that was in their land to enrich the Europeans. That same principle that Leopold was using and implementing was not just in Africa, but it was a colonial principle that all of the colonies also applied. Don't get it twisted. Even though we have the evidence that Leopold said this, what was applied there in Africa was also applied around the world, even here in America. So when you know that the oppressor has been doing things to keep people oppressed, particularly us, then you have to start questioning the things that they also have taught us, and really get an understanding that we have been manipulated for so long on falsehoods that we reject the truth when someone else other than them bring it to us. That's a scary place to be. Y'all have a wonderful day.